Let's talk about exposure therapy. I've made a few videos where I filmed my own exposure therapy, but they don't always go perfect. So I'm going to react to my recent exposure therapy trip on the London Underground, and I'm going to point out what I did right, what I did wrong, and hopefully answer some questions you might have about exposure therapy. But first, I've seen that most of you watching my videos haven't hit the subscribe button yet. So if you like what I do, giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing would mean the world to me. So let's get started.
Excuse me, can you help me? I have like a panic. I feel like I'm gonna faint and I'm really scared. I'm dying.
Okay, so that part's a little bit later in the video, and by that point I was so stressed out that I actually did end up having a panic attack and asking people around me for help, but we'll get to that. Let's continue and talk about the actual exposure part.
Hey everyone, so I'm about to do some exposure therapy. I'm about to get to 2. I need to go into town. I've never done it by myself in years. I've only done it with someone else, been on the underground. I'm going to do 2 stops by myself.
So it's interesting, I say I'm going to do 2 stops on the tube by myself on the London Underground. I don't think it's something that I particularly would want to do anyway, but this is one of the situations that was quite a big high level up in terms of things that I'm scared of. Now, one thing you might be wondering with exposure therapy is, how do I know when I'm pushing myself too much? Now, you'll never do the biggest thing right away. So how it usually works is you'll talk maybe with your therapist and decide, okay, what are some things that I realistically could attempt to do now? And you might build like a ladder of things. So if you're terrified of going to the supermarket, then the first thing might be taking a walk near the supermarket. And then another thing might be going to the door of the supermarket another time. And then another time might be like going inside and just waiting a minute. And so you're doing step by step. And by this point, what you don't see here is I did other things before getting to this situation. So I didn't just jump in and go straight to getting on the tube. And as you can see, even though I got to this point, I'm only doing 2 stops. I'm not doing a full journey. I'm taking it step by step.
No, sis, wait.
So this isn't really fun for me to watch because I remember what I was feeling in that moment, and it was pretty much terror. But how we were doing this was, I'm very fortunate that I have people around me that are very supportive and helpful and understand what's going on. At this point, I was in therapy, and some of my homework was to do exercises like this. And I was lucky to have my girlfriend who was accompanying me on this exposure therapy trip. And what we did was we traveled together for most of the stops. And then we planned that at this particular station, she's going to get off and I'm going to continue for 2 stops by myself. But at this point, I'm practically begging her not to leave because I'm saying like I changed my mind. But that is exactly the point that I have to push through and say, okay, I'm going to do it no matter what, even if I panic, whatever, let's just keep going. Because I could just avoid it and not do it, but then I wouldn't get better and I'd still be agoraphobic. I still have panic attacks all the time. I'd rather face this panic now and really push through and show myself that I can do it so that next time it's easier. Okay, so you'll notice, like, look at my jaw. This is some strange kind of tick I do when I'm really anxious. So my heart starts to race and I kind of click my jaw in time with my heartbeat. And another thing you'll notice here is, there I'm saying goodbye. I'm just trying to think positively. But I'm doing everything wrong here. I'm trying my best to control my breathing, which is making me think about my breathing more. I'm doing this behavior where I'm kind of subconsciously tracking my heart with my jaw because it's like I'm alert. I'm monitoring every bit of my body. My fear is not just that I'm alone on the train. It's that, what if something is wrong with me and there's no one here to help? But now I'm left to my own devices. And all of these safety behaviors are going on where I'm trying to control my breathing because I want to keep my heart slow, because if it goes too fast, I'll end up having a heart problem or something will happen or I'll faint. And all of that stuff is me basically feeding into the anticipation of something going wrong. And also I'm feeding into the sensations and making myself focus on them more. And that is what's going to lead me to panicking. Okay, so what did I say? I said settle down, which, yeah, I think I'm putting too much emphasis on trying to control what I'm feeling. There I'm doing more safety behaviors, trying to touch my head, stuff like that. But the thing is, so the interesting thing is, we might do these things subconsciously, or we might do them on purpose to like try and hold off the breathing. But with panic attacks, the point with panic attacks is you're already safe. All these sensations are safe. They're not actually meaning something's wrong. So the more you try and calm them, the more you try and do things to make it better, you're telling yourself, we better stop these sensations from happening because they're bad and we don't want to feel them. No, the point is, no matter what sensations happen, you're already safe. You're already okay. Even if you panic, you're still safe. And that's what you want to show yourself during exposure. So I'd say this is something that I'm doing wrong during this trip, because I'm still kind of reinforcing the fears by doing all these behaviors. So yeah, I'm saying here on the screen that I should continue doing something normal despite the fear. So what's something normal? So when I say normal, I mean like maybe I could have got my phone and I could have looked at my calendar for the day and seen what I had to do. Maybe even I could have spoken to someone on the train as well. Do things that are not just solely focusing on all those feelings you're feeling.
This is a district line train to Tower Hill.
That guy I watched. Okay, so now we're at the last stop. And I was stressed. I remember this. I was very stressed. At this point, I was like, oh, God, I gotta get off. Oh, I made it. You know, and I felt like, thank goodness. But then all of that anticipation and holding it in, it had to come out.
That was not fun.
So at this point, all those behaviors I was doing before were kind of catching up with me. When I had that feeling of needing to escape and needing to run out, that's when I should have slowed down and allow things to happen without trying to suppress or without trying to escape the situation. Because I think by now escaping and from me doing all those behaviors, it all kind of culminated in this one point where I started to feel lightheaded and dizzy and focus on those sensations and then immediately begin panicking. So I said, I don't feel good. And as I'm walking, I'm starting to think all kinds of catastrophic thoughts.
Can you help me? I have like a panic, you know? Do you know like panic?
So I remember here I saw a lady, I could feel all these things coming and I believed that I was about to collapse or faint or I had done something to my heart from being so stressed. And I instantly looked like, who is someone that looks like they might be friendly. And a lady was walking in front of me and I was just like, excuse me, can you help? Can you help me?
Yeah, can you mind to help me? I feel like I'm gonna faint and I'm really scared.
When you are panicking, I would say once the panic is starting, like there's nothing special you can do to stop it. But one thing that does help me is talking to people and just articulating what I'm feeling. And people are genuinely friendly and oftentimes very understanding. You'll see later in the video there's someone that is extremely understanding that totally helps me. And this lady here is actually, she's going to work, but at the same time she's actually, let me find someone who can actually help you more.
Alright, I'm dying.
Yeah, and then at that point, that was when full-blown panic comes, because I all those sensations I was feeling convinced me that I was dying, and I had lost it at that point, and I hung up the phone so I could call my girlfriend to kind of help me, or just to have someone to talk to. Usually when I panic and get to that point, I kind of call like someone in my family or someone very close to me, partly because I think I'm going to die, and another partly because I know that I'm panicking at the same time. So it's like, I might be dying, but I'm panicking. I know, and it's very confusing, and it's just all this adrenaline, and you're just focusing on instinctual stuff. You're not really reasoning what's going on. If I were to do it again, I would have tried my best to just slow down and let the feelings come, but by just acknowledging, like, okay, I'm feeling all these things. It doesn't mean that I'm going to die, because you can see when I start feeling the feelings, I instantly go to I'm going to die. Oh, I'm dying. But I don't need to have that instant connection, because it's not true. As you can see, I didn't die, and it's just feeding into that cycle. So I think the point of some of this exposure is to actually slow down and let yourself see that those feelings don't mean what you think they mean, because next time you feel them, you'll be able to not have that immediate catastrophic reaction. So essentially what I'm trying to do is learn and practice to behave differently in these situations than what you're used to, what you've been doing all this time, having all these panic attacks, right?
Okay, yeah, I just started to get really lightheaded, like gonna pass out. Yeah, I'll just I like panic attacks. Just taking the thing for the first time on my own, and I'm just trying to give.
So this part's really good. So I kind of calmed down a little bit. I got my phone and I just started saying what I was feeling, what was happening, telling myself that I was having a panic attack, and telling the camera and you guys what was going on. And then someone who actually worked at the station came, and he noticed, that I was feeling unwell, and came up to me and started basically asking me what was wrong and talking to me. And, I won't spend too much time on this part, but watch the full video, because it's actually really, really, really great example of exactly how you should help someone who might be experiencing a panic attack, because some people, they don't know what to do, and he did such a great example of how you can actually help someone.
For it. I just felt like I was going to pass out and faint, and I was very scared.
No stress. What I say to you is 110%, and I also used to have panic attacks going to and from college when I was back in. I understand it's like fucking shit stuff.
Yeah.
What I say to you is take some time. I am here.
Yeah.
You've made it to your destination. I'm happy to sit and have a chit chat with you.
So literally, take your time. I'm here. You've made it to your destination. I'm happy to have a talk with you. And then he offered me some water. Like, that was the perfect way to help someone who is having a panic attack. And another thing as well is the way he's speaking. So not just the things he's saying, but the way he's speaking. Look, I'm here. You've made it. He's very calm. His demeanor is very kind of soft and safe. If someone's panicking and you're like, oh my God, what's wrong? What should I do? The person is going to mirror that. And in that same way, by him speaking like this, it's showing me that, oh, he's calm. He's looking at me. He sees what's going on and he's not worried. I don't need to be worried either. So it's all about your body language, demeanor, the way you speak, the way you deliver the message is just as important as the actual message itself. So this was a really, really amazing example.
One, and I can get you some water if it makes you feel better.
That should be. I think very nice, and there's always someone willing to help.
One thing that's interesting about this video is, even though this was quite a frightening experience, it's not a bad memory. It's actually quite a positive and powerful memory for me, because even though I went through that and had that panic attack, I showed myself that I can deal with panic attacks. Exposure therapy is not about not having panic attacks. I've seen people that said, oh, my exposure wasn't successful because I had a panic attack. It's not. Exposure therapy is not trying to get through a situation without having a panic attack. It's facing a situation that you're afraid of and showing yourself that even if you do have a panic attack, you'll be able to manage and get through it. And that will then give you confidence to be better able to handle these situations, eventually to the point where you're so confident that you just can't have a panic attack anymore, because you know how your body reacts, you know how to react when it happens. So this was a successful experience, and especially by filming it, and you don't have to film your exposures, but by doing this, we can see the things that I did right and the things that I did wrong and what I could have done better. And that is, I think, what exposure therapy is about. And in this specific case, for me with agoraphobia, one of the biggest reasons that this was so hard was because I was alone. And when you're agoraphobic and you have panic attacks, being alone and being in an unfamiliar place is really hard. And it's something that you tend to avoid. And that avoidance is the reason that these situations become so hard and you end up getting agoraphobic. So by doing this, I was able to show myself that even in a situation that I'm by myself, that I don't have anyone that I trust with me, that I'm unfamiliar with, I can handle that situation, and I can even handle that situation and manage and work through a panic attack. And this shows me that I don't need to avoid those situations. And actually by doing them, I'm gaining that confidence. So I'm going to not isolate myself and avoid things as much, because I know that I can handle it. You want to show yourself that you don't need to just stay in your safe zone. Everywhere is your safe zone. You're expanding it by doing this. And then here I did a little interview with Alfie, and you can watch the full video for that. But all in all, I think it was an emotional trip, but it was a good trip. It was a great trip, and it was a successful exposure therapy. So let me know in the comments if you have any questions about it, or you have any questions about kind of exposure in general. I would recommend finding a therapist to help you do this rather than just going straight and doing it on your own, because you want to build a plan and actually work out your specific case and what you need to do, and everyone is going to be different. So for me, taking this trip was something that I needed to do and work on, but other people will have different things and have different journeys and progress. So thank you so much for watching, and a huge thank you to my Patreon supporters listed here. Your support means so much to me, and if you guys want to support me on Patreon, I'm going to start doing kind of weekly live event sessions just for supporters. I'm calling it the Anxiety Fitness Support Group, and it'll just be a place where we can get together, talk about stuff like this, share things we've learned, and I think it'll be a really awesome place. So go ahead, join the Patreon family, and yeah, it just means a lot. Your support helps so much, especially as YouTube has disabled my monetization for some stupid reason that I didn't even do. So until I get that sorted, this really helps out. And if you like this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Please subscribe if you're interested in seeing more, and hit that bell icon so you don't miss out. Take care, everyone, and I'll see you in the next one, which will hopefully be next week. I'm trying to do this weekly. So see you later.